In the early 1970s, thousands of U.S. women, most of them low-income and minorities, were victims of sterilization abuse. In Los Angeles, the face of coercive sterilization was largely Latina and African American. LA County USC Medical Center became embroiled in controversy when Dr. Bernard Rosenfeld, then a resident at the Women's Hospital, revealed hundreds of abuses there.
If we would have thought that we were going to be involved in a process that involved a huge medical facility in Los Angeles County, maybe it would have frightened us, but we were just thinking we're helping women.
Concerns about overpopulation, rising welfare rolls, and increasing Mexican immigration drove many sterilizations. Many doctors actively pushed sterilizations on women who did not understand what was happening to them.
It was very sad to listen to the stories of many of the women who were confronted with the situation, because as Mexicanas, they were very humble, they were very shy, and this was a very private matter.
12 courageous women, most of them immigrants unable to speak English, stepped forward to challenge the abuses at County General Hospital. On October 12, 1973, Dolores Madrigal was admitted to the hospital to deliver her second child. A doctor and nurse prodded her to submit to sterilization, but she refused.
This was a massive violation of the patient-doctor relationship in a very crass way.
In the midst of the pain of labor, she was again presented with sterilization consent forms. Hospital staff assured her that the procedure was reversible. Ms. Madrigal, who spoke no English, signed the English language consent forms.
There were people who literally had abused these women, had not even informed them of what was going on, had invaded their personal life so dramatically, and were very cavalier about it. And for me, it was just an outrage.
2 months out of law school, young attorney Antonia Hernandez and lawyer Charles Navarrete of the Los Angeles Center for Law and Justice decided to file a groundbreaking class action lawsuit.
The real intent of the litigation was to change the law, to change the procedure so that it wouldn't happen to other women.
The small nonprofit law office didn't have the resources to file suit against the county, state, and federal government. So they turned to the community of newly organized Chicana activists in Comisión Femenil Mexicana Nacional under the leadership of Gloria Molina.
We were raising concerns about how we as a community, we were being disenfranchised.
Comisión formed a sterilization committee, and Olivia Rodriguez was a member. The sterilization committee, lawyers, and many others raised money for the lawsuit, interviewed hundreds of sterilization victims, and organized protests at the hospital.
It was very heartbreaking because these women did not know what was happening to them at the time.
On June 18, 1975, Madrigal versus Quilligan was filed in federal court in Los Angeles, citing a distinct pattern of coercive sterilization.
When we first filed the case, it was an extraordinarily lonely battle. It became a cause célèbre afterwards, but it wasn't at the beginning.
After 2.5 weeks of testimony from the victims and doctors, federal judge Jesse Curtis concluded that any unwanted sterilizations were the result of the limited English abilities of the victims and their cultural background.
It was disappointing to have the case lost in court, but at that time we knew that there was another step that needed to be taken.
Many of the women did not know they were sterilized, and in fact, we told many of these women that they had been sterilized.
As a result of the Madrigal case, revised state regulations and guidelines for sterilization surgery were established. The rules required that consent forms be written in the woman's native language at the 6th grade reading level. They also required a 72-hour waiting period after the consent form was signed. In addition, the case resulted in new national guidelines to ensure that a patient opting for sterilization was well informed before making a decision.
The sterilization case in many ways touched all of us because we know that it could have been our mother, our sister, ourselves.
We are deeply grateful for the courage of these 12 women who stood up for their rights and helped change the lives of countless women, and to the courageous efforts of the women we honor here tonight to receive the Los Angeles Center for Law and Justice Justice Award.
There is still a need for advocacy. There is still a need for many of us to continue to raise our voices, and more importantly, there's still a need to root out many of these cases.
Supporting organizations like the Center for Law and Justice is so important because our community faces many more issues, and we need to continue to be involved in the work of social justice.